Welcome everybody. In tonight's video, we will be taking a look at the KNIPEX 4-inch pliers wrench. This is the Cobra XS. This is the about as small as they make the pliers anymore. I'm sure somewhere down the road they're going to make a 3-inch version or a 1-inch version that is just like absolutely miniature for kicks or something. But in the realm of their usable tools, this is as small as they go at the moment. So, as you've probably seen on my channel before, I carry the 5-inch versions. I carry the 5-inch Cobra pliers, and I carry the 5-inch pliers wrench. And as you can see, quite a size difference between these. And we'll scooch this off to the side because he's not a pliers wrench. Now, when you get the 5-inch, I want to get this out of the way right now. When you get the 5-inch, they come with the red handles on here. And the red handles do not slide off. You have to take like a razor knife and slice, just start whittling the red off, and then take a wire brush and clean off the excess if you don't like to have the red, which the red kind of got in the way of how I packed and handled these pliers. I have the heat shrink on here just because I kind of want some heat shrink, but it's not as thick and bulky as that red handle. And it wasn't, and I would have kept it if it was this textured orange peel texture of the Cobra pliers, but it was that smooth, slippery stuff, and it's like it's slipping out of my hand. And I do car work a lot where this gets into tighter spots and you get oil on there and it's slipping out of your hand. So I just put some heat shrink on there that I can replace, or if I need to, I can slip it off and have kind of the orange peel texture of the steel from underneath. So with that out of the way, let's start focusing on this little guy. First thing is jaw width. How wide do they open up? This little guy opens up as wide as the 5-inch version. The exact same pliers width. The biggest difference between this and the 5-inch, aside from the 1-inch size difference, is the adjusting mechanism here. This, you open the handle up all the way and can slide it down, close it, and push it up like so to adjust the plier size. On this, you do not push up with that. You push this button down, and then you can adjust the pliers. Get out of here, bug. Shoot. But you use on the normal ones that are 5-inch and bigger, you have a button that you actuate to adjust the plier size. On the 4-inch version, there is no button. You just simply open and close. So there's that. These are the 86-100s. This is the 86-125s. Just as little numbers if you're trying to look them up. This has a delightful, grippy texture that the pliers wrench version of this has, which I wish that they would just go ahead and do that on the big pliers. Just forget the insulation and just go with the grippiness. Now, I understand the insulation could be handy if you're working on electronics, but usually if you're working on electronics, you've already got a different set of pliers for that. These are usually nuts and bolts, which are not always dealing with electricity. So I just kind of wish that they'd have an option where all of them had this grippy texture here, because that is a very pleasing texture. It's not too aggressive, but it gives you some grip that you really need when you're working on stuff. Now, being 4 inches long, you're not going to have a lot of leverage on big rusted shut bolts. This is not really meant to be a heavy duty pair of pliers, although I believe that you could really run this through the wringer and it would come out shining every single time. But this is more for the tinkerers that are like, you want to snug your battery cables on your car. I know I just said not electrical, but that is electrical. Sue me. But battery cables, smaller nuts and bolts, this is very, very handy. But more than that, what I have found myself using this for is grabbing something and twisting it as a pair of just a vise in your hands. Not like vice grips that lock on you, but just something that you can really just bear down stronger than what your squishy little fingers can do, and just bend something to your whim. And the action on this is very, very smooth. And when you lock it up, you have to open it quite a ways, almost all the way, before it'll slip down. So if you're just using it within the standard range here, that is not going to slip down on you unless you just pop that all the way out. It's very, I have been using these left and right. I love my 5-inch pliers. These things are fantastic. If I had to tell you, do you go Cobra pliers or pliers wrench? If you don't know what sort of work you're getting into, I would say get these guys, because these can work on round pipes. Also great for unscrewing Coke bottle lids, popping cap bottles off. This is just a more utilitarian plier between the two. But if you know that you're working with nuts and bolts a lot, I highly recommend forgetting the Cobra pliers and going with a pliers wrench. These things are a game changer. And this is going to be a backup tool for now that's going to go inside my Maxpedition pouch. We'll just sit them on the outside for the moment. This is my backup EDC. I carry these two guys on my belt almost every day. If you bump into me in public, I've probably got these two on my belt. But this is going to be a good backup, because there's some days I have forgotten to take these two, and I just need something to adjust a bolt on a car or something. It's just so handy to have. About the only thing that I could find more useful than this would be a sonic screwdriver, but where do you get one of those? So, there's not much to review on this guy that's just milestones different than this. You've got 1 inch shorter, and you lack the actuator button, which I kind of wish the big ones would incorporate, because that's kind of nice to actually have, you know, no buttons. You just open and close, like a blue pair of channel locks. You don't have an actuator button. You just open them up and you slide them. Like, you don't need the push button on bigger pliers. And as you can see, this one's really been through the ringer. My dad bought this for me, and it's been used and abused and loved. But the star of today's episode is this little guy here. And for about 40 to 50 bucks, depending on where you buy it and when you buy it, this, I believe, it's pricey, but it's one of those tools that when you buy it, it's going to stick around for a long time, and I think it will prove invaluable for the money that you put to it. It is just so handy to have that if you're considering getting one of these, I recommend it. And again, you know, like I said, you're not going to be taking your car lug nuts off with this little guy. It just ain't going to happen. Okay? This is not heavy duty, big nuts and bolts. Even though it can open up nice and wide, it can open up to almost 1 inch. That's a big nut or a big bolt. A lot to work with. But this little guy, I think, is just perfect. In the world of wrenches and stuff, you get so much more range than what you would get on a standard crescent wrench. You just get a lot of bang for your buck here with this guy for what it can do. Small but powerful. And if you're ever considering getting one, I recommend grabbing one. I don't think you'll regret it. You might find down the road that you like the Cobra pliers over the pliers wrench, but I think you'll find these are phenomenal, as they are. So, thank you for watching this video. Hope you found it useful and informational. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helps you build your EDC to your standards. And until the next time, farewell, carry well, and a bye-bye.